said, he was born and raised in Philadelphia, and after completing his education in Philadelphia, he continued pursuing his Islamic studies in the University of Medina, where he completed his master's in Hadith, Mubarak, and is currently pursuing his PhD. Despite his concentration in Hadith, he has a strong passion to teach fiqh, and his classes are normally engaging and allow for a lot of discussion. So inshallah, our session will be like that, we hope. And he also had the opportunity to study many prominent shuyukh, such as Al-Allama Shaykh Abdul Muhsin Al-Abbad, Hafidhullah. And inshallah, with that being said, we'll dive into our topic, and I'll hand over the mic to our Shaykh. Tafaddal. Before we start, inshallah, we're going to start with Kalam Rabbil Alameen. I'd like to call one of our students, Shaykh Ismail Abdi.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. قال علمها عند ربي في كتاب لا يضل ربي ولا ينسى. جعل لكم الأرض مهدا وسلك لكم فيها سبلا وأنزل من السماء ماء فأخرجنا به أزواجا من نبات شتى. كلوا وارعوا أنعامكم إن في ذلك لآية لأولي النهى. منها خلقناكم وفيها نعيدكم ومنها نخرجكم تارة أخرى. ولقد أريناه آياتنا كلها فكذب وأبى. قال أجئتنا لتخرجنا من أرضنا بسحرك يا موسى فلنأتينك بسحر مثله فاجعل بيننا وبينك موعدا لا نخلفه نحن ولا أنت مكانا سوى. قال موعدكم يوم الزينة وأن يحشر الناس ضحى. فتولى فرعون فجمع كيده ثم أتى. قال موسى ويلكم لا تفتروا على الله كذبا فيسحتكم بعذاب وقد خاب من افترى. فتنازعوا أمرهم بينهم وأسروا النجوى. قالوا إن هذان لساحران يريدان أن يخرجاكم من أرضكم بسحرهما ويذهبا. قالوا إن هذان لساحران يريدان أن يخرجاكم من أرضكم بسحرهما ويذهبا بطريقتكم المثلى فأجمعوا كيدكم ثم أتوا صفا. وقد أفلح اليوم من استعلى.
Inshallah, we say Jazakallahu khair to our brother for that beautiful recitation. May Allah preserve him and protect him. Inshallah, without further ado, welcome the Shaykh with welcome arms. Inshallah, tafaddal Shaykh.
الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. How do we prepare for the holy, sacred, blessed month of Ramadan? What are the ways and the means of preparation? What is the purpose of preparation? Why is preparation so necessary? And why is it so important? And is preparation itself the thing that we want and need? Or is preparation only a means to an end? A means. It is a way of us getting from point to point B. Point B is what I want, and point B I need. The means of transport is only the means. It's something temporary. It's something that is discardable. Once I'm done, I've reached point A, that's all that matters. So, A, how do we prepare? Why is it necessary? Why is it a must? And why is it important for us to prepare for this month? Many things can be said. I would like to start my talk, my speech, my discussion with you with what I believe to be the most important aspect and the most essential element, and that is the element which is time. Time. The value of time. The importance of time. The necessity of time. All right, let's start off by asking some questions. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. What is the ruling on swearing by other than Allah? ما حكم الحلف بغير الله؟ يجوز أم لا يجوز؟ وإذا كان لا يجوز، إذا كان الجواب بأن الحلف بغير الله لا يجوز، فما حكمه؟ هل هو من الشرك أكبر ولا أصغر ولا محرم ولا من الكبائر وهو مكروه? What is the ruling on swearing by other than Allah? Huh? Shirk asghar. So it's permissible or impermissible? If it's shirk asghar, it's not permissible. For sure. All right, tayyib. Anybody else? What's the ruling on swearing by other than Allah? One brother tells us, he says, shirk asghar. It's minor shirk. Not major shirk, but minor shirk. So is minor shirk permissible or impermissible? Which of the two? Impermissible. Maybe or for sure? For sure. Perfect. Makruh, maybe, but if it's shirk asghar, the moment we've mentioned the word shirk, there's no discussion of it being what? Permissible. All right. Perfect. Everybody agree that it's haram for me to swear by other than Allah? We all agree? You can't swear by your grandmother, swear by the Kaaba, swear by honor. Can you swear by the Prophet? Or Nabi, you can't say that? You can't say that? All right. Is swearing by other than Allah, is it a tamlik akbar? Or is it always shirk asghar? When is it shirk akbar? When you pray to another God, but you're just swearing, not praying. When is it major shirk? When you associate partners with Allah. How? When swear. I swear by this goddess or this ancestor or this person. When is it major shirk? When does it become major shirk? No, that's shirk asghar, for sure. When it is, can it become major shirk? من حلف بغير الله فقد كفر أو شرك. So, first and foremost, to swear by Allah is haram, for sure. And its ruling is that it's going to be shirk asghar, minus shirk, كل قول أو فعل يكون وسيلة إلى الشرك أكبر. That's the definition of minor shirk. Is an action or a statement that leads to actual being other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the act itself isn't actually shirk. but it is leading. It's a doorway to shirk. When is swearing by other than Allah major shirk? That's the question. The answer is the one that you swear by or in his her name, you believe that that thing is equal or greater to Allah. That's the whole reason why you swear by something. Me and you, we get into an argument. Yo, you never believe what happened to me today. It was crazy. No, get out of here. You lying. Shut up. You ain't telling the truth. I swear by my grandma. I.e., I have so much respect for my grandmother that I would never lie in her name. So when you swear, you're trying to get someone to believe you and to accept what you're saying as being true because of the respect that you have for a thing or a person. Clear or not? So if you have respect that is equal to that of Allah or greater, then you swearing by other than Allah is now what? Shirk what? Asghar or akbar? Akbar. Everyone understand? It was shirk asghar from the what? From the beginning. It was what? From the beginning. It now is elevated, it's graduated, it's major shirk when you have the ta'zeem in your heart for that thing that you swear by, similar to Allah, let alone greater. Waliyadhu billah. A person says Allahi and he's lying, no problem. But he swears by the saint or the wali and he would never ever lie. There's no is now what? Akbar. All right, perfect. So we as humans, we as servants, we cannot swear by other than Allah. Inna Allah yanhaakum an tahlifu bi abaikum. You can't swear by other than Allah. We agree or disagree? Agree. Okay, tayyib. Does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swear by things in the Quran? Yes or no? Yes. Such as? He swears by himself. Allah swears by? Time. Allah swears by? We said that already. What else does Allah swear by in the Quran? وَالشَّمْسِ وَضُحَاهَا وَالضُّحَى وَالسَّمَاءِ لَا وَالسَّمَاءِ. Many verses, many surahs. ذَاتِ الْحُبُكِ. Allah swears by many things. Why does Allah swear by the sun, the moon, the sky? فَلَا وَرَبِّكَ لَعَمْرُكَ. Why does Allah swear by things? What's the purpose? Because He created them. All right, what else? To make you believe in them. Does Allah swear by these things? Watini, zaytun, small piece of fruit. What's the big deal? What's the big deal? A fig and an olive. What's the big deal? Why does Allah swear by these things? Anybody know? One of the reasons why Allah Azza wa Jalla swears these things and Allah does what He wants to do, فَعَالٌ لِمَا يُرِيدُ, we are prohibited. Allah is the one who makes the prohibitions. Allah He wants to show us the importance and the significance of things that are in our daily lives that we look down upon and we take for granted and we don't truly appreciate. And these things are very important. They're very useful. They're very beneficial. But most men, oh, it's sunny today. It's cloudy today. It's nighttime. How many people think and reflect when the night comes? How many Muslims? Nothing, actually. The sun rises in the morning. How many people consider it something interesting? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from the things that He swears by is, well, time. Allah swears by time. The gift that He gave you. The most significant gift of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to man is time. Without time, you can do nothing. Nothing. You want to be a good Muslim. I want to be an imam, a scholar, a sheikh, a qari. You can't do none of those things without time. I don't necessarily want to be a good Muslim. I just want to be an average Muslim. But I want a lot of money. I want to be a businessman. I want to be an athlete. I want to go to the NBA. I want to be a nurse. I want to be a doctor. I want to have buildings and real estate. What do businessmen say? That the money is, time is what? Money. You go to where? Does the lawyer sit and laugh and joke with you and just, he has a what? Your consultation is based off of what? Time. Every single second matters. Without time, nothing is possible. You like playing sports. What's the job of the head coach? It's to manage the what? The time, the clock. If you're up in football in the fourth quarter, what are you to do? Keep passing the ball or what? You run the ball. You drain you stay in bounds. You force them to call a timeout, to burn their timeout. It's not just about scoring points, but it's about time, clock management, because time is extreme. So, preparing for Ramadan, many things we're going to discuss, inshallah, we're going to talk about. But the very first thing that I want to share with you and bring to your consciousness is time, its necessity, and its importance. Wal asr, innal insana lafi khusr. Allah says, by time, man is in loss. All men, regardless of their races, ethnicities, the demographics and diaspora, regardless of what you look like, if you're a man or a woman, rich or poor, you have the ilm or you're ignorant, you're in loss unless you have 4 means of salvation. 4 means of salvation. So some of Islam, they say, wal asr yani al-waqt, time. And they said, wal asr yani salatul wusta, is the asr prayer. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is swearing by asr prayer. And some scholars stated, wal asr yani asr al-nubuwah, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's life, his era, when he was alive, when his companions lived with him. But right now we only want to focus on time and the value of time. All right, I'm going to read something to you. Inshallah, the value of time. Everybody listen carefully, please. If you know the value of 1 year, just ask a student who failed course. If you want to know the value of 1 month, ask a mother who gave birth to a premature baby. If you want to know the value of an hour, ask the lovers waiting to meet. If you want to know the value of 1 minute, ask the person who just missed the bus. And if you want the value of 1 second, ask the person who just escaped death in a car accident. And if you want to know the value of 1/100th of a second, ask an athlete who won a silver medal in the Olympics. Let's listen to this one more time. So what was the first period of time? So what? A year. What's the big deal? It's just a year. Stop wasting your life. Stop. I'll do it next year. Next year. It's no deal. It's just a year. Why are you so extreme? It's just 1 year. That 1 year is a huge difference to someone who what? Felt the course. You have to do a what now? An entire year. What will change in a year? A lot can change in a year. We talk about sports. They were in the Super Bowl last year, and this year they didn't make it to the what? To the playoffs. They didn't make it what? To the playoffs. A lot changed in what? I was supposed to graduate. I was supposed to be drafted. I was supposed to be in the league. But you failed the course. You missed. And now 12 months you have to sit into it. But before you missed, before you failed, before you didn't get drafted, you or the people were saying it's just what? What's the big deal? It's just a year. All right, next is what? A month. How do we know how valuable 1 month is? There are many ways. What I've just read to you is a woman who gives birth. The 7th month versus the 8th month. The 6th month versus the 7th month. This part of the child developed. But before that month, this part of the child what? Didn't develop. So it's going to be make it or break it, night and day, just with regards to 30 days of additional development of that child. To you, a month is nothing. But to a woman who gave birth to the premature child, that 1 month was what? Huge, huge importance. All right, what's next? an hour. But we skipped something, and that is a day. Year, month, and other sources of this quote, they mention a day, the value of a day. How do we know the value of a day? Let's give it an example. If you wanted to know the value of a day, then ask her what? What would you say, guys? A laborer, a worker who feeds his family off a weekly check. So I bumped my knee, I got sick, I sprained my wrist, and I missed what? 1 day of work. That's 1 day of food and drink family doesn't have. That's 1 day of bread that's on the table. That's 1 day my little small children don't have anything to eat for breakfast. All right, what's next after the day is an hour. Imagine if a man was incarcerated. He was locked up. His wife was at home. His wife is waiting for him to be released. She's going to keep looking at her what? Her watch. I can't wait. When I see my husband? When will I see my husband? If a man's in the Navy and his wife is waiting for the submarine to return, that 1 hour is going to be short or long. There's no doubt about it. You're looking forward to seeing your family that you haven't seen in 6 months or 6 years. If you want to look at the value of just 1 hour. All right, what's next? A minute. What's the big deal? I'm on my phone. Stop wasting your time, ya akhi. Ramadan's coming. Akhi, what's the big deal? It's just a minute. Let me have fun for 5 minutes. That one makes a difference between you getting on the airplane or the door being what? Shut. But the brothers, they're waiting for me in Minnesota. I have a conference. We say, sorry, sir. The door is shut. But it's just 1 minute. The door's shut. That 1 extra minute that I spent wasting time in line, deciding on what I was going to get, coffee or tea. Was I going to get a croissant or a lemon meringue pie? That 1 minute makes a huge difference. What's the difference with regards to 1 second? What is the value of a second? If a person just missed a car accident, a bad car accident. Raise your hand if you ever been in a car accident before, a really bad one. Really bad car accident. Raise your hand if you just missed the car accident. He said, that was crazy, subhanAllah. That would have been what? That would have been us. If it wasn't for Allah's mercy, we would have ran into the car at the intersection. And if you want value of a millisecond, 1/100th of a second, then ask the person who goes back to his country or his high school with the bronze medal or the silver medal. One tiny slither of time, and I would have brought back the gold medal. Are they equal? Gold and bronze? Silver? They aren't the same. One small, simple, extra of a second would have made the difference. So we as Muslims, we are supposed to know this and understand this more than any non-Muslim. And al-hita dalatul mu'min. Mata wajadaha, aina wajadaha, fahuwa ahaqu biha. Wisdom is the lost of the believer. Wherever you find it, you take it. So if a non-Muslim, if this is a non-Muslim saying this, the value of time, then what do you think about the Muslim's appreciation and respect for time? Allahumma la taj'al ghayri as'ada bima 'allamtani minni. Oh Allah, make not others understand and benefit more from what you have taught me than me. The dua that some of the early Muslims they would make for the Muslim to get point more than the non-Muslim. So just stop and think about this now. Preparation for Ramadan. How many months do we have left? How many weeks do we have left? How many hours do we have left? How many days do we have left? How many seconds do we have left? Now, let's look at the value of time for those who complain about time. There are people who say, I got to go to school, I got to work, I have to go to the gym, I have to take care of my family. I don't have time to eat. I don't have time to go to the mosque. I don't have time to do this. There are sisters who say, how does a woman seek knowledge when she's a wife and when she's a mother? How do I seek knowledge and I'm 40, I'm 50? How do I learn fiqh in Quran and in hadith etc., etc., etc. So what I want everybody to do, bi'idhnillah, listen carefully. Inshallah, tonight, I want everyone to go online and I want you to buy an hourglass. An hourglass. And I want you to take the hourglass when you buy it, sit it on the desk, and see how long 30 minutes is. Think about it. When you're laughing, when you're joking, when you're having fun, when you're wasting time, when you're watching something, 30 minutes is nothing. But if you actually sit down with an hourglass, turn upside down, and watch the sand drop, and don't do nothing for 30 minutes, you'll realize how much a half an hour is. So the value and the importance of time. وقتك السيف إن لم تقطعه يعني تقطع به مقصوده إن لم تقطعه يعني تقطع به قطعك أنت. Time is like a sword. You either use the sword properly, it's a tool, it's an instrument, it's a weapon, or the sword will be used as a tool or an instrument or a weapon upon you. So the greatest piece of advice, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, that I want to give for Ramadan preparation is realizing the value of time. If you already know the value of time, then be even still with your time. I don't have a second to waste because Ramadan is around the corner. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he tells us, يَتَمَنَّيَنَّ أَحْدُكُمُ الْمَوْتِ. No one is to wish for death. No one is to wish for death. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he tells us, إِمَّا مُحْسِنًا فَلَعَلَّهُ يَزْدَادُ وَإِمَّا مُسِيئًا فَلَعَلَّهُ أَنْ يَسْتَعْتِبُ. Is that if you're doing well, thinking about time is only going to make you even better. But if you aren't doing so well, I only have a week left. I only have 2 weeks left. I messed up. I did. I fumbled the ball. I wasted the time. Last year I said I was going to stop. Last Ramadan I said I was going to quit. Last Ramadan I said I was going to seek knowledge. I was going to review the Quran. I was going to start doing the right thing. I was going to start making my prayers. I was going to be, I promised myself. But you messed up. The moment you remember, that is the time to take what's left of the clock. So, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, there is the spiritual aspect of the preparation of the month of Ramadan. And it is the mental aspect of the preparation of the month of Ramadan. And then we have, of course, let's not underestimate the physical aspect. The body is important. The soul is most important. The mind is more important. But it doesn't mean that we neglect our physical bodies. The matter matters. The matter matters. People, they think just ignore your body. Size doesn't matter. Strength doesn't matter. That's not true. The physical body is important, but not as important as the soul and then the mind. But without the physical body, where does the soul? If you do sufficient harm to the physical body, the mind will be damaged. So mind, body, and soul, all of them are important in Islam. So spiritually, mentally, physically, financially, economically, socially, even down to politically. So, what's the spiritual means of preparing for the month of Ramadan? What's the most important aspect of preparing for this month from the aspect or the angle of the spirit, the soul? What would you say? What would you guys say? Salah. What would you say? La, we're not fasting yet. How do I get my spirit ready to fast this month? What would you say? Huh? Eating halal? Reading the Quran. Okay, Tayyib, what else? How do you prepare yourself spiritually? One of the ways that you prepare yourself spiritually is by making tawbah. And tawbah isn't just something that you say with your tongue. Tawbah isn't a thing that you just say, astaghfirullah, and then that's it. Tawbah is a mindset that I'm ready to return to Allah and I'm never going to go back to that sin. I'm making myself in a resolved state of mind that I'm not going to do it again. What happens if you do it again? You worry about that later on. You cross that bridge when you get there. But right now, I'm not going to do it again. If you bat someone, you have to apologize. If you stole somebody's money, you have the money back. If you hit someone or smack someone or kick someone, you have to make your wrongs right. So one of the greatest ways of spiritually preparing yourself is tawbah and istighfar. Tawbah and istighfar. Cleaning yourself. Getting ready for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you His mercy and to give you His blessings. Another way of spiritually preparing for the month of Ramadan is reflecting upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's words when he tells us, "Ara'aytum law anna bi babi ahdikum." If you lived in front of a river or stream or brook, some water, in which you washed up 5 times, how dirty would you be? The Sahaba said, "La, no, حكي من درني شيئا, nothing." فكذلك الصلوات الخمس يمحى الله بهن الخطايا. That is the similitude of the 5 daily prayers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He uses those 5 daily prayers to keep you clean. So spiritually, for the month of Ramadan is to wash yourself. And you're not going to use soap or shampoo or loofah or sea sponge or salt and sugar scrub. But you need to wash your soul, clean your soul. You can't put on perfume and cologne if you stink. Would you put on a new shirt and you didn't take a shower? Would you do that? You wouldn't. Rather, you're only going to put on nice clothes, perfume and cologne after you've removed anything that makes your body smell. So that month of Ramadan, Ramadan is the perfume. That's the cologne. All of the blessings for iftar, for suhoor, for taraweeh, for the Eid. All of the maghfirah, all of the rahmah of the month of Ramadan. How are you going to receive that if you have so many bad, ugly sins that you have not repented to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for? So, tawbah, al-istighfar, and most importantly, apologies. I'm sorry, I backbit you. Takes courage to do that. Me and him, we haven't spoken in 3 months. I didn't say anything bad about him, but when's the last time I went and visited him? Let me go to him right now. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh, please come over my house. Please, no, come, have lunch. Before Ramadan. You can't allow Ramadan to come and you still have that what? Shahna. And that is very similar. We look at the ahadith of the Prophet ﷺ with regards to Mondays and Thursdays, with regards to Sundays and Muntasaf Sha'ban. Obviously, it's a long discussion. يغفر لكل عبد لا يشرك بالله شيئا إلا, except for a man بينه وبين أخيه شحناء فيقال للملكين أنظروا هذا أو أنظر هذين حتى يصطلحا أنظروا هذين حتى يصطلحا. So if you have a beef with your brother or your sister, you have to apologize and make amends before the month of Ramadan comes. All right, so these are a few points with regards to the spiritual aspect. Spiritual. Now, what about the mental aspect? How do I mentally prepare for the month of Ramadan? What would you guys say mentally? Mentally. Doesn't look like we're going to have a good Ramadan if we don't have no mental preparation. What would you say? How do you mentally prepare for Ramadan? Yeah, you. That's spiritual, not mental. Mental, brain, your brain. Having a schedule, preparation, mental preparation. A clean room, an organized room proves that there's an organized mind. A disorganized, cluttered, junky, messy, dirty room proves that something in your mind is off at best. So if I saw your room right now, what would it look like?
I'll say like 63% clean.
63% clean.
Like I don't got any wrappers. It's just like some
It's stuff all over the place. All right, your mom, your dad, tell them, right? Organize your room. It's very important advice. It's much more than just having a clean or organized room, but it shows that your mind is organized. All right, what else would you, something more important than that? Mentally. How about discipline? Self-control. Raise your hand if you guys like sports. Who likes sports in the masjid? Everybody. Who likes playing basketball? You definitely like ball. Who likes to hoop? Who likes soccer? Who likes football? Who likes these, all right? What makes a champion? His muscles, right? How he is, right? How fast he is, right? How good he shoots or kicks or throws or kicks. No. A champion is his what? His mindset. You're happy to be there, and I'm saying I want to win. You're happy just to be in a championship game. We barely made it this season. And he's thinking we're going to win it. It's the fourth quarter. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm fatigued. I want to quit. I want to give up. Why do teams play sloppily? Because they lack the discipline. They lack the mental toughness, the injuries. They're thinking about things that they shouldn't be thinking about. And they're worrying about things that they shouldn't be worrying about. But the champion is always focused. His mind is there. He's not thinking about last season. He's not thinking about the next season. He's not thinking about the last game, but he's there. He's present. And he gives all of his mental energy on what's in front of him right now. And he realizes if he gives in to pain and pity, he'll be a loser. And if he ignores pain and suffering and hardship, he will win. So Muslim, you have to be mentally tough. And this is one of the problems with many young youth today, unfortunately. They're weak-minded, feeble-minded. Most young men, they join gangs because they have weak minds. Many young women, they dishonor themselves. They disrespect themselves. They disobey Allah because they have weak minds. And someone comes along, they tell them this, they say that, and then they're done. Al-mu'minu al-qawiyyu khayrun wa ahabbu ila Allahi min al-mu'min al-da'if. The stronger believer is closer and more beloved to Allah than the weaker believer. And strength means spiritual strength and also mental fortitude. It's a better Muslim who has a stronger mind. Fasting is to make your mind stronger. So before the month of Ramadan, let me think. Let me get my mind together. Let me get rid of my bad habits. Or is that a bad plan? Can you get rid of all of your bad habits at once in 1 year? Is that smart? If I can, I will, but at least what? At least one. Everyone understand this? Discipline, self-control, consciousness, present-mindedness. These are things that help you get ready for the month of Ramadan. And most importantly to realize, common sense. Sense, guys. Not having all of the ilm, not being a genius, not being a smart person, but plain common sense. Why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want me not to eat, not to drink, and not to have relations with my lawful wife? What's the purpose behind that? If right after Ramadan, I'm going to go back to doing the same haram acts. What is the purpose of being hungry and thirsty? من يترك قول الزور والعمل به والجهل فليس لله حاجة أن يدع طعامه وشرابه. If you keep acting upon lies, falsehood, stupidness, ignorance, backwards behavior, stay away from food and drink. What's the purpose? What's the purpose of fasting? Don't make 5 salah. What's the purpose of coming to the masjid and making taraweeh? And you're disrespectful to your parents, disrespectful to your teachers. So you got to use common sense. This Ramadan, I'm going to think about it. I'm going to use my brain. Not the spirit, but we're talking about the brain. I'm going to think critically. Why does Allah want us to fast? For difficulty? Does Allah want to punish us? Do we get close to Allah through food and drink? Or is Ramadan nothing more than a test and an exercise Number 3 is the physical aspect. How should a Muslim physically prepare for Ramadan? Physically, not spiritually, not mentally, but physically. What does the Quran tell us about our bodies? What does the Sunnah tell us about bodies, our organs, our eyes, our ears, limbs, our feet? Not our hearts, but the physical body. What do we say?
As for like the eyes, lower your gaze.
Lowering the gaze. You can't look at everything. So if I have a habit of looking at everything, I need to start what? Practicing when? Before. That way when Ramadan comes, it's easier. All right, what else? What is the physical preparation for Ramadan? You guys can't be shy. There's no such thing as a bad answer. Don't be shy. You only learn by breaking your shyness. You understand this? If you get an answer and somebody laughs at you, there's nothing wrong with that. That's a part of learning. Listening to the right things. So your phone, some things you might need to erase from your what? Your playlists. You need to get rid of those things right now. You need to take some subscriptions. When? Before Ramadan, not in the middle of Ramadan. But how do I physically prepare for Ramadan? Controlling your appetite before you have to. Let me just take it a little what? A little easy on eating. It's not haram to eat more, but I'm going to practice on what? On limiting how much I eat, not pigging out. Right? Very good answer. Because in a couple of weeks, you're going to have to control your appetite. So the name of the game is you practice before the game. Right now, it doesn't matter. But in the game, every dropped pass or missed pass is going to what? It's going to what, guys? It's going to matter. Everyone understand this? This goes to show that the physical aspect goes back to the mental aspect. All right, what else? How else do we prepare for Ramadan? Praying Sunnah, that's spiritual. More, maybe. I'm getting used to doing more Salah. So when Tarawih comes, it's what? It's easy. All right, Tayyip, there's something else I'm looking for though. How about your health? Your system. Wouldn't it make sense for you to take care of your health before Ramadan? That way you won't have to miss any days. Wouldn't it make sense to make sure that you hydrate your body? That way it'd be easier for you to fast, drink more water, eat more fruits and vegetables, things that have more nutritious value. Listen, guys, it's nothing wrong with having a little bit of junk food every now and then. We all like snacks, treats, but you shouldn't be in junk food 24/7. That's why they call it junk food. It's junk. It's junk. Every now and then, a snack or treat, all right, no problem. We're not going to make a soda haram. But when's the last time you had a bottle of water? It's a serious question. How much sugar is in this 1 cup of juice? Think about that. And many Muslims, unfortunately, when they have suhoor or iftar, you see eating junk. How do you think you're going to feel in 2 hours? How thirsty are you going to be when you break your iftar with soda? Not saying that soda's haram, all right? I never ever said that. All right, Tayyip, any other physical ways of preparing for Ramadan?
You can stay clean by just showering,
Hygiene. Hygiene is very important in the Muslim's life. السواك مطهرة للفم مرضاة للرب. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ tells us, brushing your teeth, the toothstick, is cleaning your mouth and pleasing Allah. That is the life of the Muslim. The Salah is pleasing to Allah and is also good for my physical body. The Zakat is pleasing to Allah and is good for my finances. Just think about it. مطهرة للفم مرضاة للرب. Getting married helps you physically, economically, financially, and is also pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the Muslim has a tangible aspect, and of course, most importantly, is the spiritual aspect. So I'm going to physically get ready for Ramadan by getting in shape a little bit, making some more raka'ah, making sure I look after my hygiene, make sure that my insides are good, because before you know it, you have no choice but to be thirsty. You have no choice but to be hungry, right? I need to lose a couple of pounds. I need to trim down a little bit. Not because of what you think about me, but I need to lose weight because of my own health. Listen carefully, guys. We live in a world in which you're taught and trained to worry about what people think about you and feel about you. Most only go to the gym, they only diet because of others. And only a few people work out and eat good and they take care of their health because it's good for themselves. We all want to look good, of course. I don't want you to look at me in a funny way. Everybody wants to be accepted. No one wants to be made fun of. But you need to look after your health for your own sake. It's unhealthy for your own body. Forget what people think of you. And that's a very long discussion for brothers and for sisters. Don't be a victim of the society in which they tell you what's ugly, what's pretty. They tell you what style is good and what style is bad. A Muslim can't go with the wind. And you have to accept how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created you. If I'm a little big, I have a couple extra pounds, alhamdulillah, that's how Allah made me. As long as I'm healthy. And if I'm a little skinny, that's how Allah made me. As fine as long as I'm healthy. Being tall, being short, being big or small, it's about being healthy. Because your body is an amana. The Prophet ﷺ, he says, لا تزول قدم عبد يوم القيامة حتى يسأل عن أربع. The fourth thing that Allah Azza wa Jalla will ask you about on the day of judgment. And you won't have relief, you won't have a break until you answer them properly. From those four things, Prophet ﷺ, he tells us, an umrihi, an jismihi, your life and your body. Fima ablahu. So you have to take care of your health, but you don't take care of your health just to show off. The moral of the story. You don't go to the gym just to show off, just to flaunt your body, to flaunt your muscles. That's wrong, and that is dangerous. And in most cases, people who have to show off their physical body, men or women, they're very insecure people. They're weak inside, and they have to compensate for their weakness by showing the world body. So the Muslim isn't supposed to be weak like that. All right, let's move forward. We said spiritual, we said mental, we said physical. What's next? Economic, financial. How do I prepare for the month of Ramadan with my money? Who can give me some money right now? Huh? How much can you? And how much can you give me? Yeah. Please. Bismillah. Give it to me. Give it to me? That's my question. I'll repeat the question. Who can give me some money? Who has money they can give me? How much? Who can you give me? Huh? Bismillah. I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious. I'm not joking. How much can you give me?
I got you with, let's see here. I got you with Indian francs.
Nah, that don't look like American dollars, Akhi.
It's all together. It's like $1.
All right, let me see. Can I see? And where are these from?
These are from Guinea.
From Guinea. Allahu Akbar. A lot of history in Guinea. Yeah. And how much is this worth? This is 2,000.
That's 2,000. So each one of those is like worth a fifth of $1.
A fifth of $1. Yeah. So how much money do I have right now?
That's about $1.
About $1. All right. Jazakallah khair. Thank you.
Sir.
Shukran. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Have 5 of these. So before the month of Ramadan, I gotta pay my bills. I gotta go shopping. I got my normal sadaqah, but I have to make sure that I do what? One of these have to be put for Ramadan. Every day, every week I need to do what? Put something up for. That way when Ramadan comes, I can do what? I can donate more. Because Ramadan is overtime. Ramadan is the bonus round. Ramadan is the time in which everything matters. What? More. Everything matters what? It always matters to Allah. But in Ramadan it matters what? It matters more. There are more rewards to get. So therefore, let's save some money for Ramadan. It's only a week left. That's a week for you to do what? Put something up. من فطر صائما فله مثل أجري. He who gives iftar to someone, what's the reward of making iftar? How much does it cost to provide iftar to the masjid? You should have put up your money for iftar when? Way before. All right, I want to make it itikaf, but I have to do what? Work. So, from the advices, preparing for Ramadan is to work overtime. That way you can have more days off when? Ramadan. Handle your business, or as the younger generation says, stand on your business. Stand on business. 10 toes when we what? Standing on business. So fight not the spirit. We're done with it. Not the mind. We're what? We're done with that. Not the physical body, but we're talking about what? We're talking about money, cash. So therefore, saving money, putting up money, working extra before Ramadan. That way when Ramadan comes, not only do I have Friday off, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off, I can go to the masjid early. I can make it tough. I can pray the Taraweeh, and I don't have to worry about getting up early the next morning. And that obviously goes back to the mental preparation, strategic thinking, and not being reckless and haphazard. Therefore, sadaqah on the day of judgment. The Prophet ﷺ, he tells us in many authentic ahadith about the reward of sadaqah and the virtue of sadaqah. Kullu mu'minin dhilli sadaqatihi yawm al-qiyamah. On the day of judgment, you will be shaded by how much charity you gave. What does Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam tell us about the man who used to loan people money? He used to hand out money and then collect money. And when he would send his collectors, he would tell them to be easy on the people. لَعَلَّ اللَّهَ أَنْ يَتَجَاوَزْ عَنَّا. Maybe Allah will be easy with us. So you can go to Jannah with money. There's no doubt about that. نِعْمَ الْمَالُ الصَّالِحِ. Allah, the Prophet ﷺ says, good money is a blessing for a good Muslim person. There's no doubt about that. The virtue of money, the importance of money. Money itself isn't evil. The men who mismanage the money, they're evil. The men who are greedy for money, they're evil. The men and women who don't care, halal or haram, they're the evil ones. But money itself is harmless. And the money is a blessing for the believer if you handle it the right way and if you manage it the right way. So therefore, prepare yourself for Ramadan with regards to paying off your debts, because you may die in the month of Ramadan. Many Muslims, they pay their debt when? In Ramadan, even though you don't have to. Zakat is due after the 12 months. But many Muslims, they want their virtuous deeds to be done in Ramadan. They want the good deeds to be performed in Ramadan. So Muslims have to manage money properly. And they'll be asked the day of judgment about money. So saving money, working extra, and putting aside money for sadaqah, for iftar, and for donations. Because Ramadan is overtime. It's bonus. Next point is the social aspect. How do I socially prepare for Ramadan?
You should surround yourself with friends that encourage you to do good.
Never let squares in your circle. Never let what? Squares in your circle. This person doesn't make 5 salah a day. He's a what? Square. This guy I go to school with, he's into girls, chasing girls, talking to girls, running down on girls. To me, he's a what? He does drugs, he smokes, he drinks. He's a what? He's corny to me. Even if he's cool and popular. But to me as a Muslim, nah. Everyone understand this? This sister, she wears her hijab when she feels like it. Every now and then. She goes outside dressing like this, wearing it like that. How can she be your friend and your companion? Never let squares in your circle. If you're not practicing Islam, devoted to Islam, how can we be friends? How can we get along? What are we going to talk about? It's time for dhuhr, And you saying, no, it's time for me to do this and to do that. So, that's only one aspect, but there's more. Yeah, you. Being nice. How do you be nice in society? Respecting people. Allahu Akbar. Respecting people. Respecting people. Muslims, non-Muslims, old, young, be respectful. And when you are respectful, know for sure that the respect will come back to you. One way or another. Not everybody, but one way or another, Allah will show you of being respectful. What does Ramadan teach you about being respectful? What's the connection between fasting and respect? What's the answer? How does Ramadan teach us to be respectful? Anybody know? A guess? You'll miss every shot don't take. You guys got that? Or you miss every shot when? If you what? You get it or not? There's no way you're going to make the shot that you what? So when you learn Islam and practice Islam, if you don't give it a shot, if you don't try, it's no way that you're going to get the right answer. So never be shy when it comes to learning. There's no such thing as a bad answer or a bad question. I mean, we're all learning. Everybody clear on this? The shot that you don't take, for sure you're going to what? You're going to miss it. Tayyib? All right. What does Ramadan teach us about respect?
When I'm hungry, I feel like somebody doesn't have access to food.
That's not respect?
That's not respect.
No, that's something else. That's sympathy and empathy. That's different. What does Ramadan teach us about respect? First and foremost is, everyone listen carefully, Ramadan teaches us about respecting Allah. Truly respecting Allah. كل عمل ابن آدم له إلا الصوم فإنه لي وأنا أجزي به. Hadith Qudsi tells us that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, all deeds performed by the children of Adam are only for the sake of the children of Adam, except for fasting. For fasting is for me, and I give the reward for fasting. When you pray, who do you pray for? قُلْ إِنَّ صَلَاتِي وَنُسُكِي وَمَحْيَايَ Amen. So you pray to who? Hajj is for who? Zakat is for who? So what does the hadith mean? Fasting is for me. What does that mean? You fast, you show respect for Allah. When you pray, you show respect for Allah. How is fasting only for Allah? What does that mean? فَإِنَّهُ لِي. What does that mean? How many times have we read this hadith, or the Imam said the hadith on the minbar? All deeds for the servants except for fasting. Fasting is for Allah. Jum'ah is for Allah. Hajj is for Allah. Building the masjid, supporting the center is for who? What does it mean? فَإِنَّهُ لِي. Fasting, what does that mean? Anybody know? Anybody want to give it a shot? Oh, such as the Salah is for Allah too though. I.e., no one knows if you're fasting or not. It's secret. It is the ultimate manifestation of ikhlas. Right now, I'm making salah because I'm scared that my dad is going to punishment or beat me. Right now, I'm doing the right thing because my friend is doing the right thing. But no one knows if you're eating or drinking but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So fasting to true respect for Allah. The only reason why I'm hungry and thirsty is because Allah is watching me. All right, anything else? Does fasting teach us anything else about respect? There's more. We're talking about respect. Fasting shows you how to respect yourself. How do you respect yourself when you fast? لا يزال الناس بخير ما عجلوا الفطرة. Rush to fast. You've been fasting for 6 hours, 8 hours. It's time to break the fast. You should do what now? What should you do? You should rush. Why? I can fast until the time. I'm okay. Food is hayatud dunya. Let me make an additional prayer. What should you do? Rush to give your body its sustenance. And that's a means of respecting your body, taking care of your health. It's not about being tough and macho. Respecting your body. All right, what else does Ramadan teach us with regards to the social aspect? So right now, I like to drink tea, right? I love tea. Wherever I go, I have tea. But if you're in Ramadan, there's no what? There's no tea. Why can't I drink tea? I can't tea? There's no tea leaves. There's no hot water. Why can't I drink the tea? Okay. What if I told you there are Muslims in other countries outside of Ramadan that don't have what? Why not? Can't afford it. Or they had a tea farm, but the tea farm was blown up. Somebody dropped a bomb on a plane. They destroyed their farms. They destroyed their factories. They blew up their supermarkets. They destroyed the convoys, the food trucks. There is no tea to drink. So Muslims in this country, they don't like to drink tea. They don't like coffee. Of course they do. When I'm hungry for a limited period of time, it makes me relate to Muslims who are hungry when? All the time. So the social aspect leads us to the last, which is the political aspect. If I know that there are Muslims hungry in other countries, let me do something to remove that hunger and famine from those Muslims. I can't change the world by myself. I can't heal the world overnight. I can't remove problems from around the world, but I can do something. I can speak up. I can complain to the lower level of the politicians. I can donate. I can do something to help Muslims to do away with the feeling only for 6 and 7 hours. You are married. You can't go to your wife when you're married, when you're fasting. It's a major sin. Think about sisters who are single because they don't have enough money to get married, because they can't afford to get married. So let me try my best to help out those brothers and those sisters. The moral of the story is you have a checklist. And make sure that you're checking every box. What does my soul look like before Ramadan? What does my mind look like before Ramadan? What does my physical body, my gut, my stomach look like before Ramadan? What does my finances look like before the month of Ramadan? You have children. You want to buy them gifts for the Eid. You need to have what? You got to have money. And if you're not working and saving or investing, so the Muslim has to be mindful. That's the moral of the story. Of course, there is a priority. The soul comes first. The mind comes afterward. The body from top to the bottom. So, bidnillahi ta'ala, I want each one of you guys to sit down and to look at your checklists. What's missing from my checklist? What's going on in my favor? And if you know strengths, and if you know your weaknesses, you'll never, ever lose. He who knows when to fight and when not to fight. He who knows his strengths and his weaknesses. He who knows the strengths and weaknesses of the opponent of the enemy need not fear the outcome of one house. People only lose when A, they don't know their strengths and weaknesses. They don't know the strengths and weaknesses of their opponents, or they ignore them. But if you know what you got going in your favor and what you got against you, you know how to manage it, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, you shall be successful. So that's how we prepare for the month of Ramadan, by making tawbah. Allahumma lighna Ramadan, oh Allah, allow us to see the month of Ramadan. As some of the Salaf al-Salih, they would say, قال معل بن الفضل كما ذكر الحافظ بن رجب رحمه الله كان يدعون الله 6 أشهر أن يبلغهم رمضان ودعونه 6 أشهر أن يتقبل منهم. 6 months of the year, they will make dua for Allah to allow them to see Ramadan. And 6 months out of the year, they will make dua for Allah to accept it from them. Just think about that. 12 months. And all they thought about was Ramadan. 6 before, 6 after. 6 before, 6 after. So, making dua for Allah to accept it. Tawbah. Realizing that you have to do the fundamental things. وَمَا تَقَرَّبَ إِلَيَّ عَبْدِي بِشَيْءٍ حَبَّ إِلَيَّ مِمَّا افترضته عليه. The fard before the nafil. If you're not making Asr and Maghrib, you're making Tarawih. It's a waste of time. Right? So spiritual preparation, mental preparation, physical preparation, financial, social, your community, so on and so forth. And the last thing that I'll say to you is, who fails to plan, plans to fail. He who fails to plan, plans to fail. So preparation is something that Islam teaches you. And if you're successful in the world, as a doctor or an athlete or a businessman, you must make good plans, good preparations, and most importantly, good execution. And we execute our plan by tawakkul and isti'anah. We put our trust in Allah, we do our best, bismillah, and then we execute. Khairan, inshallah ta'ala. I believe we'll have time for questions now. Inshallah, to open up the floor. Allah, Jazakallah khairan, akhi, for the money. Can I keep one? No, you take, I'll just keep one, all right? Fair enough? Jazakallah khairan. I'll take this as, and inshallah, one day I'll visit Guinea. Bi'idhnillah. Jazakallah khairan. Alhamdulillah, I'm coming to this masjid more often. St. Cloud. Jazakumullah khairan.
And inshallah, this will be a time, inshallah, if you have a question that you're thinking about, maybe before the lesson or after, inshallah, this is going to be the time. And you can ask any question you want to the Shaykh. So don't be shy, inshallah. All questions are free and welcome. There's like a question that goes about there's some youth that are busy and heedless of the Salah. How can they get closer and how can they get closer to completing their Salawat on time, when they're so indulged and distracted by the business of this dunya?
Tayyib. With regards to how to manage your prayers, making them on time, strictly guarding your salah, if you're so indulged and caught up and tied up in the dunya. I'm sorry, but I don't understand the question. I don't get it. I don't see how a Muslim, I get it. What could be more important than salah? I don't get it. Like, how can salah be on the side? Everything else must come after the salah. Work, career, school, recreation, politics, sports, fulan and fulana. I don't get how a Muslim can put prayer on the back burner. Me, please help me understand. I can't conceptualize how you just skip prayer. I don't get it. And if you're even thinking about skipping prayer, and if you're not prioritizing prayer, then something is seriously wrong with your deen. Extremely wrong with your religion. من حافظ عليها كان لما سواها أحفظ ومن ضيعها كان لما سواها أضيع. Umar radiallahu anhu said, إن أهم أعمالكم عند الصلاة. Umar, he said to his governors, his wulat, the people who were in charge of the new frontier land, when Islam was expanding, the conquests, he told them, the most important thing for you guys to do is establishing, not collecting tax, not building roads or wells or this or that, is establishing the prayer. Omar said the one who guards his prayer will have the best of the rest of the religion. The rest of his religion will be even better. And he who neglects and wastes his prayer will do the same with the rest of the religion, even worse. So the prayer has to be the priority of your day. Eating lunch, breakfast, tea time, coffee break, All of those things have to be scheduled around the salah. So let's make an example of this now. When do I eat breakfast? When should I eat breakfast? After Fajr. When should I have lunch? After Dhuhr. When should I have my time or my coffee break? After Asr. Everyone understand this? When should I have when do I eat dinner? After what happened? The salah is supposed to determine every single thing else in your life, not the opposite. So if you have some friends that are busying you from salah, bad friends. If your job doesn't allow you to pray on time, it's a bad job. A hobby, a habit, something that you do in your pastime, which is hard to make asr on time. And if you play a sport in which you can't pray because I need to take a shower first, or my shorts are too short, or I injured my leg, you can't play that sport. Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu led the Muslims in the salah. Once again, Umar. And obviously that man, he committed what he committed. He tried to assassinate him. He stabbed him. And radiallahu anhu, as he was stabbed violently, viciously, he fell unconscious. And when Umar radiallahu anhu woke up, he came out of consciousness. He Abdullah ibn Abbas. He said, Hal tamta salah? Did you guys finish Fajr? Ala hadda li ahadin fil islami taraka salah. He says, those who don't pray have no place in this land. They have no portion in this land. So just imagine that now. Are you stabbed? Are you in the hospital? You're having fun, you're laughing and you're joking. What if you die in that state? What if Allah takes your soul in that state? So the salah has to come first. And if the salah doesn't come first, you've already lost. Allah Ta'ala, look at your friends, look at what you do for a living, look at habits, look at your fun time, your recreation, and you have to put it after the salah. And Allah will give you much more. That's a known fact. When you go to Jumu'ah, you pray on time, Allah gives you a better job. When you tell your friends that you gotta pray, Allah will give you better friends. There's no good in any relationship in which you feel shy and embarrassed to make fun of. And from my personal experiences, even among non-Muslims, when you pray in public, on the plane, in the train station, on the side of the road, the non-Muslims will show you respect. They'll show you respect. They may not like it, they may not agree with it, but they're true to your faith. And if you're a Muslim who's true to his faith, then they're going to have more respect for you because they know you're not a two-faced person. And if a man stops to make salah in the cold when it's raining, to take a break from work, what type of employee is he going to be? Is he going to steal from the register? Is he going to come late? Is he going to leave early? Many non-Muslim employers, they know the best employee to have is a Muslim. Because if he's fearing his God, the chances of him stealing and cheating from me are slim to none. But if your name is Mohammed, if your name is Abdullah, and you don't pray on time, you're not following your religion, what's the chances of you being a good employee to me? How you want to keep your word and your agreement with him and keep it with the God that you claim to believe in? So it's very important praying on time. A coach, the player says, Coach, I need to pray. That proves that he has some type of discipline. You're willing to sacrifice, and you don't care what others think and say about you. That's going to translate to the game. Those values are going to be translated to the sports in which you're playing. So salah is pivotal in the life of the Muslim. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
Considering the people in office right now, what should we as Muslims be doing to prepare in case our ability to practice our deen is impacted?
With regards to those who are in office, meaning like the government, political involvement, what do we do, so on and so forth? Well, I think first and foremost, we have to understand that politics is a must in life. It's something that you can't avoid and do without. A wise man has told us, and it's a very, very, very interesting statement. Just because you have no interest in politics doesn't mean that politics won't have interest in you. I don't like politics. I don't like voting. I like dealing, no problem. But know for sure the politicians are thinking about you. So therefore, am I a wolf or am I a sheep? What would I rather be in life? If I lived in the land of wolves, do I want to be a sheep? And if I lived in the land of sheep, I want to be a wolf. For me to have something that I don't need, but I have it if and when I need that thing. So, what are politicians without the people? Not much. And what are people without the politicians? Maybe, give or take. The wealthy people, they're nothing without the taxes. Who pays the taxes? The peasant farmers. So the concept of what I need and what I want, it matters. It matters. And I'm going to use your need of me to get what I need from you. So Muslims, how many Muslims we have in this one room? In the public schools, the Muslim children get to make Salah on time? Can they go to Jumu'ah? Do they allow lunches? Is Eid a holiday? Can Muslim women wear hijab and niqab in the public schools? Can I wear a thobe going to school? Not the Muslim schools, but we're talking about the public schools. And in the Muslim schools, we want to open up a markaz. We have zoning issues. The city, and so how do we fix those problems, those demands and those needs? Through political influence. Right now, I have 5,000, I have 10,000 people. They're ready to vote. But what can you do for us? What do you want to give us? What do you want to promise and guarantee for us? So you have to learn how to use force and leverage. And if a politician, a mayor, governor, or senator, or city council, if they're going to come and make things hard on the Muslims, difficult upon the Muslims, discrimination, prejudice, bias, if they're going to make laws to squeeze the Muslims, we have to fight back. And we fight back with what we have. And that may be through numbers. We have another politician, and the list goes on. So you have to do something. You have to do something. And you can't curse the darkness if you're unwilling to love. Think about that. We complain, oh, the non-Muslims, the kuffar, this. Okay, what are we doing about it? Muslims pay taxes. You have a right to live in this country. Muslims have businesses. Muslims support the economy. We're just going to waste that power and that leverage. But deeds are based off of intentions. You're getting involved in politics for the good of the Muslims, or you're getting involved in politics for the good of yourself. I'm going to change the system from within. And before you know it, the system does what? It changes you. So you have to be mindful of that. In brief, I don't think that the Muslims can live in this country and no political involvement whatsoever. That's impossible. Mustahil. Wallahu a'lam.
There's another question brothers are sending me, going about how can one manage the Quran while keeping up with other acts of that. Meaning, if somebody plans to read lots of Quran during Ramadan each day, how can he manage that with other ibadah such as Tarawih and Tahajjud?
How do you manage keeping up with the Quran, reading more Quran, studying more Quran, along with the other acts of ibadah? There's no contradiction. There is no clash. There is no ultimatum. The ibadat and the Quran, they go hand in hand. But I'll give you a trick of the trade, a secret. When you're studying or you've memorized it, you have qira'at, you're reviewing, make your recitation and review of the Quran around the 5 daily prayers and get into the masjid early. So if I come to the masjid for Salatul Dhuhr, Dhuhr is at 12:30, I get 12. I sit down, it's time for Dhuhr, I make my rak'ah. From 12:05 to 12:30, how much time is that? 25 minutes of me reading. And then Asr, another 15 minutes. And the next thing you know, 30, 25, 15, 10 minutes, that's an hour, 20 minutes of free stolen time that I didn't have to cut out of my schedule to memorize or review what I've already memorized, or to practice or to read a book of tafsir. So you have to learn how to maximize your time. And as they say, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. A life hack. Everyone understand this? So just think about it. You're going to get the reward of coming to the masjid early. You're going to be on the front row. You're going to repeat after the mu'adhin. And you have your mushaf and you're reading the Quran. Versus, I'm only going to get to the masjid at 12:25. I make my rak'at, it's the iqamah. I'm only going to get to asr at the time of the iqamah. So prioritize getting to the masjid early in Ramadan. لو يعلمون ما في النداء والصف الأولي ثم لم يد. The Prophet ﷺ says, if they knew the rewards of the adhan, if they knew the rewards of the front row, and they couldn't get it except to إلا أن يستهموا عليه استهموا عليه. So therefore, prioritize being on for the salah, and you have your personal mushaf, and that's when you read. Number two, last but not least, is Taraweeh is also a means of review. If you're leading the salah, then you're reviewing. If you're praying behind someone, you're also reviewing. And you have to prioritize your own personal life. You want to pray extra rak'at, I will seek knowledge. You make Hajj and Umrah every year with additional money, I send that money to orphans overseas. As long as it's tatawwur, then you prioritize based off of your lifestyle. You have to figure out what's most important to you, what's most needed in your town, in your time, and in your demographic. Wallahu ta'ala.
There's another question also. Says we as humans are always bound to fall into mistakes and sins no matter how we repent. Whenever we do repent and fall back into the sin, we cry and we're hurtful so hard and we seek forgiveness, and we feel like an emptiness inside. So how do we navigate this? That's the question.
How do we navigate through falling back into this?
Falling back into the sin and then feeling like the emptiness in your heart, you feeling that regret that you did something bad.
Clear. Okay, so first and foremost, regret and remorse is very important with regards to your deen, and in life. And one of the main messages and one of the most reoccurring messages of the Quran, Allah tells us about regret. He tells us what the people are going to say. يَوْمَ يَعُدُّ الظَّالِمُ. He will bite his hands. وَيَقُولُ الْكَافِرُ. The kafir will say, كَذَلِكَ. Allah shows them their deeds, what? حَسَرَاتٍ عَلَيْهِمْ. Verse after verse, Allah talks about how they're going to feel, what they're going to say, how they're going to regret, but when it's what? Too late. So therefore, from the ways that you avoid falling back into the sin, thinking how dumb and stupid you're going to feel afterwards. Again, I promised myself, I'm tired of this. I said that last month that I would relapse. So you tell yourself that before you relapse. If it's going to feel good, the withdrawal is bothering me, I won't do it, but I know I'm going to feel worse afterwards. So right now, the problem with vaping or smoking weed, my body's addicted to it. My friends do it. I want to do it. It takes my mind off of things, etc., etc. But the moment I come down off of that rush, how bad am I going to feel? And measure and weigh which of the two is heavier and stronger. The rush, the high, or the greasy film on your skin afterwards, that feeling. You feel dumb and stupid. I broke my streak. I was clean for a month, 3 months, 6 months. Now I have to do what? Away again. So the war begins and ends with the mind. The battle starts right here. You have to think about it. How am I going to feel afterwards? And as I said before, if you read the Quran, you'll find this message. Allah tells us to not to play ourselves. The time in which people will cry out and they will say and they will beg. They'll ask. Verse after verse, Allah tells us. Why does Allah tell us about this? For us to prepare before it's too late. So that's my first piece of advice. Secondly, you have to look how you're relapsing. What's making you fall back into the sin or those sins? And that is the common denominator. Common denominator. So, at home I fell into the sin. I traveled, I fell into the sin. I was here this year, that year, etc., etc., etc. All of it changed in my life. But there has to be something that was the same. Once you figure out what that thing was, that's the reason we keep falling back into the sin. So, such as, I have a problem drinking alcohol. When I'm at home, I drink. When I travel, I drink. When I'm happy, I drink. When I'm with my friends, I drink. Whatever the case may be, I keep drinking. I keep falling back into drinking alcohol. I just can't stop. One of the reasons why is because you're not figuring out the common denominator. And I realized of my 5, 10, 15 years of drinking, I was depressed. I was lonely. That was the reason why I kept falling back into that sin. So you need to pinpoint that one thing. Never look where you fell, but look at where you slipped. Where your foot slipped at the spot and where you fell. So it's very important. Thirdly, there's a balance when it comes to regret and remorse. A balance. You cannot allow the shaitan to get you to fall into despair. You cannot allow the shaitan to cause you to live in the past. You must live in the current. And the shaitan will play with you. And he'll get you to ask questions like, how did I do this all of those years out of my life? Did Allah decree the sins upon me? And having bad and negative thoughts. Instead of saying, I am remorseful, but at the time I'm optimistic. And I have to worry about right now. So right now I'm good. Right now I'm clean. Right now I'm staying strong. That's all that matters. So it's very important in the moment. Reflect on the past. Never get stuck on the past. Think of the future, plan for the future. Never get lost in the future. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about the people of Jannah, لا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. They have any fear, ألا تخافوا ولا تحزنوا. Nothing to be afraid of in the future, and nothing to be sad about in the, but instead live what? Right now. Enjoy it right now. Don't worry about yesterday, don't worry about tomorrow. So staying mentally sharp. I cannot make the sin from dhuhr to asr. Asr to maghrib. Just try it out. And I guarantee it's going to be easier for you. It may not be perfect. I'm not saying it's going to go away, but it's going to be easier when you live in the present. Allah Ta'ala.
Next question, inshallah, it's about respecting your parents. How can you be more respectful to your parents and more dutiful to them, especially in Ramadan? What habits do you do that will help you with that?
How to be more respectful to your parents? Well, first and foremost is some things you can never understand until you yourself become a parent. No matter how much they tell you, there's certain things you have to experience. And then you realize how expensive it is to live. Rent, gas, water, electric, cell phone, shoes, clothes, food, snacks, ice cream. Who's paying for all of that? How hard it is to job and to be consistent with that job, retiring from that job, stress, what it means to lose sleep because the baby is sick. Anyone have a newborn baby, a toddler, and the baby gets sick? That's the worst thing. A grown man, you can deal with the sickness. You can, you can, be tough. But a small baby sick is a fitna. Baby doesn't want to eat. Baby can't breathe. It's a major fitna. The baby wakes up crying and so forth. Just stop and think. My mother's lost all of that sleep. My father had to work all of those hard days for me. So you have to reflect. You have to think about that. You may not agree with everything your parents say or do. Your parents may not be the best or perfect people, but they are your parents. And for sure, they sacrificed much of their lives just for you to have a good and happy life. So I think you have to be shamed and embarrassed. You have to have a little bit of shame. How can I talk to my mom like this and all of the stuff that she did for me? How to respect my father And he went through all of these things just for me. You have to reflect. Me, what goes around comes around. If you're disrespectful to your parents, know for sure the time will come in which you'll be disrespected. The time will come in which you'll say, how dare you talk to me like that? And you stop me, oh, subhanAllah. Now I get it. So experience is the best teacher. But you should try your best to learn before you actually are placed in that situation. So therefore, make dua for your mother and your father. They have to be perfect. You're not perfect. Nobody's perfect but Allah. Make dua for them. Never ever disrespect your mother. Never disrespect your father. If you disagree with them, you can ask them a question. If they're doing something wrong, give them advice with respect. And the Prophet ﷺ, he tells us going to Jannah. One of the fastest ways of going to Jannah is dutifulness to one's parents. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned the mother and the father after Tawheed. وَقَضَ رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ وَبِالْجَارِ الْجُنُبِ صَاحِبِ بِالْجَنْبِ لا. Allah says, وَعْبُدُ اللَّهَ وَلَا تُشْرِكُوا بِهِ شَيْئًا. Every time Allah talks about only worshiping me, and then talks about the parents. So would it make sense for me to be close to something Allah mentions about His haqq? Only a fool will get close to the electric fence. Somebody who's unwise. So even if I disagree with my parents, if my parents are, let me just shut up. It doesn't make no sense to argue with my parents. So going to Jannah, one of the fastest ways of going to paradise is respecting your mother and your father. And one of the fastest ways of going to Jahannam, waliyadhu billah, is disrespecting your parents as well. So you have to be professional. It's not about your father being right or wrong. It's not about that. I know I'm right and I know that you're wrong. I'm 16, but he's still my father. So therefore, I make my mouth shut. Last but not least is, if your parents are willing to listen to what you have to say and to talk to you and to hear you out, they would have done so. So you're wasting your time by arguing. It's going to lead you to disrespecting them, and they're not listening to what you have to say. So let me be quiet and let's focus on going to Jannah. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam.
The next questioner is asking, how should Muslims approach social media use in a way that pleases Allah?
Social media is like a snake, a viper. It has venom, deadly venom. One small, tiny nick of the fang, and you'll be paralyzed or dead, depending on the snake. Some snakes takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, maybe an hour. But at the same time, what's the cure? What's the antidote for the snake venom? It's found where? In the snake itself. That's social media. You use it for its good, or you use it for its bad. On social media, you can learn Islam. You can teach Islam. On social media, you can learn about Allah's creation. You can see things. You can get an education for free. And social media can also destroy your life. All it takes is 30 seconds for you to see the wrong thing, you're done. Waliyadhu billah. So you can take your money, fraud. You make a lie, you make a joke. You pass on a weak hadith, a bogus hadith. Just like that. So it's dangerous. So therefore, using social media requires prudence. You have to be prudent. You can't just go into it haphazardly. You can't just go into social media saying, oh, matter, let me just surf and scroll. La. What I'm looking at, how long I'm looking at it, and when I'm looking at it is extremely important. So if you know that you're weak, you have no business on social media. If you know that there's a fitna out there, you have no business on social media when you're by yourself. If you know you like to talk too much, you have to be mindful of what you post and say on social media. So therefore, the shaitan is going to use social media, kadhib, lying, making fun of people, biting people, disrespecting the scholars of Islam in the name of defending the deen. Look how shaitan tricks people. He gets you to hellfire thinking that you're doing good. وَهُمْ يَحْسَبُونَ أَنَّهُمْ. Quran tells us this. I'm on social media to argue and to debate with the people of falsehood. I'm on social media looking at the uncovered women, telling them they need to cover up. Shaitan he's a trickster. So you have to know yourself, and you have to know your enemy. Social media is dangerous, and at the same time, social media is very beneficial, depending on what you do with it and how you manage it. If you know you're not that strong, don't play around. And even if you are strong, never ever trust yourself on social media. I have an agenda. This is the time I give myself. Point A, point B, and that's it. That's very important advice when it comes to social media. Be careful. Last but not least, I will say, the dawah and giving classes, of course we do it in person, but it's very important to have a strong social media presence for any masjid and any dawah program or dawah organization. Wallahu a'lam.
Next question is asking, it's kind of tied to the previous question about social media, but how can we avoid hypocrisy if we advise based on knowledge we don't have? Act on. We have, but we don't act on. We have the knowledge, but we don't act on it.
Like the Prophet says, "Man ra'a minkum munkaran falyughayyirhu biyadihi." You see something bad, you change it with your hands. You can't do it with your tongue. You can't then hate it with your heart. And that's the weakness of faith. So you have the obligation of enjoining the good and forbidding the evil. You have the obligation of giving nasiha, regardless of what you're doing or what you aren't doing. That's an obligation. That's number one. Number two, the Prophet ﷺ tells us on the Day of Judgment, there will be a man in the hellfire who will have his intestines out of his belly. And they'll be walking around like a donkey around a mill in the hellfire. فيجتمع عليه أهل النار فيقول يا فلان ما لك يا فلان, why are you here? You're the imam, you're the sheikh, you're not supposed to be here. And he would tell people, unfortunately, I told you to do something good and I didn't do it myself, so on and so forth. That's a separate ruling. So the obligation of you practicing what you preach, yes. That has nothing to do with the obligation of preaching. And he who leaves off enjoining the good and forbidding the evil, because of sins, I don't want to be a hypocrite, you fall into two sins. Being a hypocrite, being hypocritical, and not telling people what's right and what's wrong. And perhaps Allah will forgive you. Even if you're not doing everything right yourself, but you doing it for others. So that's a trick of the shaitan. I can't say anything because I myself have this sin. If that was the case, I will put the microphone down. If perfection is a condition for teaching a class, I'll be the last person to teach the class. If that was a sharp condition, I wouldn't touch the microphone. I can't speak for others, but I know I myself, I wouldn't be able to touch the microphone. So that's not a condition of Allah and His Messenger. So therefore, you see, even say something about it. Shut up, you're a hypocrite. What are you? Okay, I know I am. I have my person, but I'm telling you, I've been down that road. Stay away from that. You have no business talking to that woman on social media like that. She's not your wife. You have no business looking at this being on this website. Oh, but you was on it too. Yeah, I know. That's why I'm telling you, you need to stay off of it. Because I've been down the road, I got it. I don't want you to get trapped. So therefore, something bad, you say something about it. And at the same time, you be mindful of you being asked about it yourself. Alright? Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says, وَالْمُؤْمِنُونَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتُ بَعْضُهُمْ أَوْلِيَاءُ بَعْضٍ يَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنكَرِ. Allah says that the believing men and women are friends and protectors of each other. They join the good and they forbid the evil. Some of the ulama of tafsir, they say, وَأَوَّلُ مَنْ يَدْخُلُ فِي ذَلِكَ أَنفُسُهُم. The first people that they enjoin the good and forbid the evil are themselves. But it doesn't mean that you act and leave off enjoining the good and forbidding the evil. Last thing I'll say, with regards to the importance of enjoining the good and forbidding the evil, كما قال الحافظ ابن القيم رحمه الله تعالى من ترك الأمر بالمعروف والنهي عن المنكر مخافة المخلوقين نزعت منه حتى لو أنه أمر ولده أو عبده لاستخف به. He says, if you don't enjoin the good and forbid the evil because you're afraid of what people want to say or get at you or call you a hypocrite, the respect will be taken away from you. If you told your son to do something, your son would look down. Think about this, guys. Think about this. Why doesn't your son obey you and respect you? Why don't your children, why don't the enemies fear you on the battlefield? Because they don't respect you. Well, why? Because that behavior has been what? It's been taken away. And one of the reasons why it was taken away, we see something bad and we say, that's not my business. Or everybody's doing it, or it's normal, or that's Flan's daughter or Flan's son, I can't say anything. Or, la abadan. Allah says they were cursed because they turned the other cheek, they ignored. So enjoying the good and forbidding the evil is from the most important things of this ummah. That's supposed to be our banner, our slogan. We don't keep silent. We see wrong, we say something about it. We see wrong, we do something about it. We see wrong, we know in our hearts that it's wrong. This is supposed to be the most important aspect of the Muslim ummah. It's supposed to be a different ummah than the other ummahs. So let us be mindful of this. Wallahu a'lam.
The next questioner is asking, how do we go about marriage, especially in the day and age we live in the most halal way, I guess, and the most proper way?
How do we go about marriage in the most proper way? First and foremost, getting a good husband or a good wife is a reward from Allah. So the more righteous you are, the pious you are, bi'idhnillah, Allah will bless you with that which is you. And the Quran tells us, good men are for good women for good men. The tayyibeen are for the tayyibat. The khabithat are for the... So you get the wife that you deserve. You get the husband that you deserve. So if I want a good wife or a good husband, let me not think about Fulan in this one, think about myself. What am I doing to deserve this? As if it's a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's first and foremost. Secondly, instead of looking for a husband or looking for a wife, focus on making you a good candidate yourself. Instead of me going around the masjid, can I marry Fulan? Let me make sure my deen is good, I'm working, I save money, I have good hygiene. Because it's nothing but a matter of time. I says, hey, who's that guy? Is he married? I see him in the masjid all the time. He looks clean, he looks good, he has good manners, so on and so forth. Is he married? Somebody's going to ask about you. The sister that's right, pious, it's nothing but a matter of time before somebody says, such and such. Obviously, cultural values, different cultural norms, different ways of doing things. But you guys get the point I'm trying to make. And if you just focus on yourself, it takes you away from heartbreak. You never have to worry about being disappointed because they came to you and they discovered you. So, focus on relationship with Allah. And secondly, if somebody came to you, say, my daughter, I want to give her to are you ready? I came to you right now. Do you have money? Are you mature? And so I said, I want you to marry my daughter right now. Oh no, Sheikh, I need to finish this. So focus on yourself. Stack your stats. I'm a big proponent of stacking your stats. Number 3, last but not least, is you have to make up your mind. What are your non-negotiables? Things that there's no way I can compromise on. Versus, maybe. So right now I have five non-negotiables. She has to do this already. Not she's good. She must have this, she has that, so on and so forth. Everything else changed and substituted. If you know what you will and will not do, the in-betweens are very simple. Versus, I don't know, I'm not sure, can I marry her, should I marry her? She says that she's going to do it afterwards. He says he's going to do it when we get married. You have to have your non-negotiables already planned out. Wallahu
The next question, inshallah, is the questioner is asking, sometimes whether sports during Ramadan, and they tend to fall into cursing and getting mad and things like that. How can they avoid that? And yeah, how can they avoid that?
Sports are very important. Sports are very dangerous. Sports play a big part of our lives living here in the United States. A big, major part. That's a fact. But a sport is just a sport. Don't take it and put it beyond that. You're being devoted, you're being competitive, you're being hungry, you enjoy it, you benefit from it. I learn things, Muslims, and that, but it's still a game. So never, ولا تجعل الدنيا أكبر همنا. يعني أن هناك من الدنيا هم ليس أكبر هم. It can't be the biggest thing that you worry about and that you feel. So winning on the field is important, on the court, but it's not if. So that's how you approach the sport. Number two, anything that brings you out of your Islamic character is a bad thing, period. If it brings the worst out of you, it's a bad thing. Friend, marriage, you bring the worst out of me. You have to get away from that thing. And you have to surround yourself around the people or with the people who bring the best out of you. So oftentimes you play basketball or football, you see people cheating, lying, stealing, cursing, showing. It speaks volumes about that person's character. And you learn the reality of it. Good sportsmanship. You can't be a true champion unless you know how to lose. That's a fact. You have to know what it feels like to take the loss. To take the loss. Take a lot of weight on the chin. You shake hands, good game. You get your next game. That makes you a better player. That makes you more mature. So Muslim, he can't play or he can't be involved in anything in which he's cursing is normal. Cheating is normal. Showing off and throwing it in people's faces. Nah, everything.
The next question is asking, and this happens in schools most often, where students, when it comes to lunchtime, they're tempted to eat food. And some of them actually are tempted so bad that they actually eat the food and break their fast. So what is the issue on that?
About being tempted? Meaning they're around like non-Muslims or Muslims themselves? طيب, self-control. وللصائم فرحتان. فرحة عند فطره وفرحة عند لقاء ربه. Rasulullah tells us, people who fast will be happy twice. They'll be happy when they break their fast, and they'll be happy when they meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So just stop and think about it. I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, but how good is it going to feel when I make it? The food tastes different, and you feel accomplished. I did something today. So therefore, you must learn how to take your mind off of now and think about later. That's first and foremost. Strength of the mind, power of the mind, self-control, willpower. And know for sure, you can't play basketball if you have no willpower. You can't be a doctor businessman if you don't have what? Willpower. You can't be a sheikh. You can't do in the deen or the dunya without willpower. The person who's doing haram, he's involved in the streets and crime. You can't do that stuff unless you have what? Willpower. That's a fact. Ramadan fasting teaches you willpower. Mind over matter. So you have to train yourself. Secondly, you shouldn't be around people that are eating and drinking in Ramadan. And if you are, something has to change. Period. Something has to change. If you have children, some are fasting, some aren't, don't allow them to eat in front of them. Separate their times. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
The next question is asking, how does one stop themselves from being lazy in ibadah, especially during the middle and end of the month of Ramadan?
How to fight laziness in Ramadan. Well, first we seek Allah's refuge and protection from laziness. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hammi wal-azm wal-ajzi wal-kasal. Laziness is a disease that you have to ask Allah to protect you from. That's first and foremost. Number two, you have to realize nothing can be accomplished in life through laziness. Nothing. And this is one of the harms of social media and video games and entertainment. Don't you realize that the person who designed that app wasn't lazy? The person who made this movie was lazy? The person who gave you the remote control had to break their laziness. So nothing gets done through laziness. Nothing. Number three, take gradual steps. What steps? Today, I'm going to make 2 extra rakat. Not 10, not 12, but just 2. Do that for a week. Did it take too much time? Did my feet fall off? Did I die and pass out? I didn't. And it actually felt good. Next week, you're going to do 2 more. And the next thing you know, you get yourself to the taste and the sweetness of the worship. And then you realize how many blessings Allah sends your way when you go out of above and beyond of that which you have to do. So laziness is an illness, it's a disease, and the traits of the munafiqeen. The believer cannot be lazy. Of course, everybody has their lazy times, but it can't be a thing which you're chronically lazy. You have to seek Allah's refuge from that. Wallahu ta'ala.
Alright, this will be the final question as Asachi. It was by how does Ramadan change you after Ramadan is done? How can it change you? How do you know like it changed?
Well, Ramadan doesn't change you unless you put forth the necessary effort, such as preparation, such as valuing and cherishing Ramadan, and such as realizing that Ramadan is training. It is to train you with the rest of the 11 months. If I can stay away from halal for the sake of Allah, then I can stay from haram for the sake of Allah. If I had control for 30 days straight, I should be able to have self-control for 60 days. That's the only person that's going to be changed by Ramadan. The one who values it and knows that Ramadan isn't about customs or tradition or culture or monkey see, monkey do. But Ramadan is serious. Then you'll be changed. Allah's permission. As far as no food, no drink, iftar, when Ramadan is done, you'll be right back where you started. So you gotta be mindful, living in that time. And change is in the hands of Allah, primarily or essentially. And of course, the servant has a part and a portion of change as well. Jazakumullah khairan. I appreciated my time here. I'd like to thank the imams, the shuyukh, the ministers of the masjid of the center once more for extending the invitation to me. My companion, Sheikh Abu Mu'adh, for driving me here, keeping me company, alhamdulillah. And of course, last but not least, each and every one of you brothers and sisters who attended, and especially the brothers who participated. I ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to bless this center, bless this city, and to spread the khair and spread the barakah of Islam, of the sunnah, and of ilm. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect each and every one of you, keep you safe, keep you steadfast. Allahu fikum.
Allahumma ameen. Inshallah, we'll conclude our session. Before that, we would like to thank the Sheikh for coming from such a place and